The pot shot that Mr. Singhvi took vis-a-vis why only 100 crores. Well, I will refresh his memory that the National Nutrition Mission launched by Manmohan Singh in the UPA government had an allocation of a mere 100 crores. So is it the position of the Congress spokesperson that that announcement by the Congress regime was nothing but a mere decoration? I think that this reminds me, this whole comparison and not being able to find a single flaw in this budget and saying, well, you copied us, reminds me of that student who doesn't do well in class but is extremely envious of a good student who has worked hard and topped the exam. And the only pot shot they can take are the juvenile ones that are here on your channel tonight. I think this budget has given extremely the hope for the future that we will use the hard-working taxpayers' money judiciously, that we will ensure that we have equitable distribution of money in health, education, in ensuring that entrepreneurial skills of our citizens are enhanced, that we will ensure not only safety of women through a good allocation of the Nirbhaya fund, but also make it a part of our curriculum so that gender sensitization is done from the school itself. It has been a long-standing demand of women in our country. So just to take a pot shot for the sake of taking a pot shot is something that I obviously expect of the Congress spokesperson. I will only say this, that there are many promises in the field of education, promises that I find today in the FM speech which gives a lot of people in our country hope. Let me just say this, that the promise of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is reflective in the budget today.
Okay, Smriti Irani, at that stage, I know you have to go, so I'm going to thank you. I get Jay Panda into the debate. Jay. No, 1 second. 1 second.
Before she goes.
Jay Panda. Jay Panda, where do you stand?
Go ahead. All the high-sounding, pompous...
Arnab, let me answer your question.
Jay's coming in. Jay's coming in.
She reserves for Congress.
Look, I think obviously what has been inherited is an economy in the doldrums, and it's going to take some tough work and some time to turn it around. And we can always, all of us can have grouses. You know, we in Odisha are waiting for some of the numbers to be announced. For example, he's announced that mineral royalties will be revised, one of our long-standing demands. But the number hasn't been announced, so we are waiting for that. But overall, if you look at a national perspective, this budget is reminiscent of what Prime Minister Vajpayee did 12 or 14 years ago, when he provided a major shift in direction and focused on infrastructure. Today you've seen a similar, it's kind of deja vu, that you've got 38,000 crores for national highways, you've got 15,000 crores for rural roads, and the other focus on rural drinking water, the sense of comfort being given to investors and the financial sector, the very ambitious target on cutting the fiscal deficit, which is the root cause of inflation and rupee devaluation. I think these are indicators that they are serious, and I think we ought to allow them some breathing time, some breathing room to see whether they can actually deliver on these numbers.
Fine. I just have one question on behalf of many viewers who are calling. This goes to the panel here. Many of our viewers are asking this question. Okay, you put a little bit of money. Vani Tripathi Tikku joining us from Bhopal of the BJP. By the way, the question is this, that you put a little bit of money in the hands of the middle class, but you know, with the reduction in petroleum subsidies, with what's happening elsewhere, you put another hole in their pockets as well. You know, so whatever benefits are there through these small tax exemptions will all be neutered in the long term. So this is it's not a good budget for the middle class or the lower middle class. You accept that?
No.
You don't?
No.
You don't?
No. That requires a static thinking that economy is not going to grow. Economy is going to grow because a lot of infrastructure.
We have a pathetic monsoon.
No, 1 second.
One second. Monsoon.
1 second.
Roads can be built without monsoon.
The monsoon, incidentally, is not to be blamed upon the budget, first of all. Yeah. And secondly, the fact is that there has been a distinct change in direction in this, especially as Mr. Panda just pointed out. There is a clear emphasis on infrastructure here. There is also emphasis, incidentally, on disinvestment, which in the longer run, presumably making the public sector more efficient. So I think there is a clear direction here. You cannot deny that. And the idea here is to expand the economy. That's how the middle class grows. The idea is not to fiddle around with the edges.
The other direction, Arnab, is also from the fact that entrepreneurs have been given a push. There is a fund that's been set up for them. There is the incentive for them. And FDI is a big announcement. It's another story that as far as insurance FDI is concerned, there's a legislation involved. how the government will push it through Rajya Sabha, that's going to be another challenge that Mr. Arun Jaitley will have to face between now and the next budget.
But this constant thing comes out again and again, Omkar, that what is the big idea? This constant criticism comes out that what is the big idea? Is it too much for the people of this country after a mandate like this to expect a big idea?
I think much is said about a big idea.
It's a medium idea.
A successful, I think that's a good point. Successful budget has a series of reasonable, proper things to do, things that can be, with a very high degree of probability, executed, and instead of trumpeting large ideas which can't be executed, take a dozen smaller workable ideas, put them together and execute.
Yeah,
so my point is very simple as far as this budget is concerned. If you wanted, because I won 282 seats and I had 333 for the NDA, if you wanted Jaitley to wear a blue uniform with a cape which said Superman, and he went all over the place, afraid of nothing except the Krypton, right? Then that's a very silly way of looking at a budget.
But this is, he could have done something. He could have. What's a mandate like this for? When you can take the risks. No, Vani, 1 minute. We're going to go to Vani. She's been waiting in Bhopal for a long time. So Vani, you feel on the back foot today? What? Do you feel on the defensive when every single Congress spokesperson comes to you again and again, says, I don't like this budget. Some small little 100 crore, 50 crore tinkering around budget, no big idea. Let the people of this country down. Is this what you were promising? Are these the Achhe Din that you were promising? So Vani, I want you to respond, and then Abhishek Manu Singhvi will take you on.
Arnab, I remember of all the debates that I did with you for the past more than 2 years, and each time economy was discussed, we always used one term called the theatre of the absurd. Absolutely, we are not on the back foot, and it's pathetic on the part of the Congress to respond the way they've been responding all day. On one hand, they are saying that we've copied schemes like Manrega. On another hand, they have the audacity to say it's visionless. That means they were visionless themselves, and that's very evident from all the criticism. Also the fact that the moment Mr. Jaitley finished his speech in the parliament, they just plunged as if, did they imbibe? Did they even understand what was being said as far as the budget was concerned? And I must bring back one of the focal points of this budget, which he said to you in the interview that played out on your channel in the evening. He said, I wish I could do much more, which meant that if I have 10 rupees, I'm not going to be spending 15. I will have to create conditions where I spend the 10 rupees judiciously. And what he has tried to contain in this budget is pilferage. Remember that 45% of the fiscal deficit plan was spent in the past, just last 2 months. We took over on the 26th of May. If that amount of money, almost 50% of the fiscal deficit plan was spent in that much time, what do you expect the finance minister to do? And when you talk about criticism, let us see what they are criticizing us about. 35,000 crores allocated to what they call their blockbuster scheme Manrega. Are they criticizing on that? Or more than 1 lakh crores which will be spent on social welfare schemes that we've seen. So the point is, we are not on a back foot. We also do not have a magic wand. Of course, this 4.5% fiscal deficit is a challenge, and a challenge which we do take. We are equivocally aware of the confidence that the people have given us. We will have to give it back to them by improving the economy.
Conceded. I think he's conceded at this stage of the debate.
2 or 3 points.
Jay Panda.
Yeah, 2 or 3 points.
Yes.
3 or 4 points, Arnab. One, I think it's completely wrong to think that if you do have 333 and 282, I think it is a time for you to make at least a few big statements. It is a time for you to project your philosophy.
You keep saying the few big statements.
It is a time for you to take a few...
She gave you 7 points.
Now, Arnab, this is ridiculous. You don't interrupt anybody else. You seem to be very fond of interrupting me.
No, because you're repeating the point. No, sir. No, I'm not fond of interrupting you. That is a complete...
No, I'm answering a point. I think you did not hear the previous speaker who talked about 282 and 333. I'm answering that point. If you just care to listen for a minute or two.
No, she's already raised her hand.
I am answering the point that a budget is a political philosophy. a budget is a political statement. If you can't take fundamental hard decisions, that's in your first year. You talk of restructuring the tax regime. You talk of restructuring the economy. Please forget our bad left-wing scheme. Please forget our bad left-wing scheme. What is the fundamental restructuring apart from a heading in the budget speech? What is the fundamental restructuring?
Dr. Singhvi,
which big ticket right-wing idea do you have?
Singhvi,
which medium ticket do you have?
Dr. Singhvi, the nation is reminded of the three basic tenets of democracy that you destroyed during the 10 years of governance. It was wrong economic policies, it was corruption, and it was the state of the economy that has been left in shambles. And in 45 days, I mean, come on, at the end of the day, senior, intelligent spokespersons of the Congress party like you to be speaking in the language in which you have spoken most of... No, Dr. Singhvi, introspect today and look at what is the state of economy that you've left us with. What is the condition of the economy you've left us with?
Manu, like it.
Well, if this is the attitude that we are going to have, we are going to deliver because we believe,
One second. So we
find that's because Arnab specializes in having one-sided panels and then doesn't allow time to the sole person with a viewpoint. That is
I'll tell you one thing.
Ethics. That's all. You have four people espousing one cause, starry-eyed after the budget, and you don't give me enough time. I can't help it.
Dr. Singhvi, I've come to the conclusion. I've come to the conclusion that I can never get it right with you. But I thank you for participating. I thank Vani. No. I thank Vani for joining us. I thank each one of our panelists for being with us through the entire debate.